aquarianradio.com.
Aloha, this is Enki. You know me as Aquarius, and this is our age, the Sata Yuga. Time to celebrate with us. We have programs on all chakra tantra, love styles and relationship choices, counseling strategies and techniques that you can use at home. We have extraterrestrial radio where we deal with alienology, paranormal people, and we have an experiencers network. We have a section called Ancient Aliens, and the programs therein are Enki Speaks, Nimma, the Mother of Humanity, has her program, and we revise ancient anthropology. And most important of all, we have peace paradigms, because this is the age of peace, harmony and understanding, sympathy and love abound. No more falsehoods or derisions, mystic crystal dreams and visions. On this show, we teach you how to listen lovingly, how to heal each other's hurts.
Center yourself and benefit from interdependency.
Review the chapters of your life and find your divine purpose.
Call 646-649-0893 or chat online and we'll answer your questions and counsel you.
Here are your hosts, Dr. Sasha and Janet Lesson.
Aloha, and welcome to Aquarian Radio. Today's show is Counseling Lessons, and our title today is Play Perfect Parent. The date is January 10th, 2013. My name is Janet Lesson, Janet Care Lesson. I'm your host today, along with our co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson, and here he is.
Aloha. I'd like to tell you a little bit about these exercises that we've developed called Play Perfect Parent, where you learn ultimately to constellate your own inner mother and your own inner father. Intermediate to this development of your internal mother, your internal father, you work with having the person you're most involved with, your lover, be a stand-in and model the opposite within you of who you think you are, because that's what your imago is. This is a term that Harville Hendricks developed, and the imago is the exact opposite of who you think you are. Who you think you are is what people call your ego, a sense of I. But what it really is, the who you think you are, is a collection of primary selves, like the pleaser and the inner critic and so forth, that you think you are, but once you reach the point of centering yourself, you realize you have within you the exact opposite, but in the meantime, you are, until you become conscious of this suppressed or underdeveloped part of you, you find yourself inextricably drawn to, attracted to people that manifest the opposite of who you think you are. And what that opposite usually is somehow modeled on a composite of your parents and perhaps people that you've been in a relationship with. And they all have some reflection of what's within you, which is underdeveloped because you didn't get it from your parents or your mates, and so you're looking for it in someone else because you don't know it's in yourself. And it's only when you get into a real intense relationship that you find out what that opposite is, because the very things that attracted you to your lover or lovers are the things that once you get into a relationship with them, you start to hate or you overly admire and worship. In any case, they're parts of you, and being in relationship gives you the opportunity to find out what those are. And so we follow Harville Hendricks and add some stuff from Jay Rosenberg to make a really complete system. Janet, would you say what it was like for you to go through your imago process and have me start out as your substitute parents until you could constellate your own inner parents?
Well, it was quite a learning curve for me. I remember when I first started with this concept, I actually read the Harville Hendrix books before I met you, Sasha. Somewhere in the late 90s. I was going through a heartache, a horrible breakup, and I had already been through 2 marriages and a couple other relationships, and I was wondering, what in the world is this all about? How is it that I keep making the same mistakes over and over? And there's a point when you're reflecting about your life that you realize that the only constant factor is yourself. So no matter where I went, there I was, and the same thing kept happening. So when I discovered Dr. Hendrix's, Harville Hendrix's book, and what was he called? Getting the Love You Want, and I was just like begging for some kind of help. I was on a location where there weren't any good therapists and doctors. There was only a minister, and that wasn't working for me to go there for counseling over this horrendous heartache and feeling that I was dumped and abandoned, and all of these triggers were coming up for me. So right after that, I ended up leaving that island I was on and moving back to Honolulu. And that same year, I ended up meeting you. Yeah. So I think I was just ripe at a point in my life where it was perfect for me to begin my imago work. And once again, wherever you go, there you are. I met you, my beloved Dr. Lesson, and we were the perfect imago mates for each other. So here we are 15 years later, and we're still exploring this incredible theory of imago mates and how we trigger each other and how we have things that are unresolved from our parents, and it's been an extremely interesting journey.
Well, the way Harville Hendrix looks at it is that you find people that have the same things about them that hurt you about your parents, so that if your father ignored you, then you, let's say you're a woman and your father ignored you, then you would look for a man who might have a tendency to ignore you. But if you could get him to not ignore you, then it would not only feel great, but it would also cure you of the lack of attention that you had as a child. So we instinctively try to get what we didn't get as a kid from others, and in the process we learn about ourselves. Now I'm going to take Janet through a sequence of cues that will move you if you follow along with her. First you'll see how it moves her, but then you can do this with her and then look at our website, www.schoolofcounseling.org, and you can take your time and really do this again in greater depth. But the idea is to work through all of these cues, take your time, allow the emotions, and allow yourself to be a temporary parent for your lover. You're going to, after you find out what upset them growing up, you're going to find out what behaviors you can engage in to help them heal those hurts, and they'll ask for some kind of physical, symbolic behavior that would help to remind them to heal hurts. And of course, they'll do the same for you. Hold you in their arms, ask you what hurt you growing up in relationships before you got to them, and what they can do to help you heal, and so that each of you commit to behavioral acts that lead to the healing. And so you do this for a while until you feel healed enough to really go on to the next phase, which is constellating your inner mother, your inner father, and your inner mate, so you don't have to be dependent on your lover to do those things. Okay, so if you can, get to some place where you can follow these cues and look at them. But first we're going to do a little exercise that shows you where you're going to go when all this is through. So we'll start with Janet, and you do this along as Janet does it. And the first thing we say is, tell me about an upset, frustration, problem, or issue you have with me. And if you're doing this with somebody who isn't your partner, say, if it isn't with me, then with the last person you were with. And here's the formula. When you do blank, I feel blank and react by blanking to hide my fear of blank, because what I really want is, and the example is, when you mock me, I feel hurt and angry and react by withdrawing. or attacking to hide my fear of being humiliated, because what I really want is respect. Obviously, if you can go right to what you really want, you skip a lot of stuff. Okay, so Janet, if you would do this relative to me, start with when you.
When you get hurt and angry, I'll get closer to the mic. When you get hurt and angry and you leave the room,
Then you feel, I
feel hurt and angry and abandoned.
and react by,
I react by, sometimes I contract and sometimes I react by stomping out after you.
to hide my fear of.
Of abandonment,
Yeah.
of being left, of being rejected.
Because what I really want is
Attention and to resolve the issue.
there anything else you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, I just want to, I want you to stay here and just keep talking about it until we resolve the issue instead of walking away.
Great. Okay, so I would like you to remember a time in your childhood when a parent or someone else frustrated you the same way I did. Take your time, and when you recall such a time, tell me your age then and describe the scene at the time in the present tense, as though the scene's unfolding right with you in it.
Well, I think ideally we would want to find a childhood resonance with that.
Uh-huh.
And I guess the most, the time I felt angry and hurt and abandoned the most was when my mother would trick me. She would want to go out and she would tell me some kind of lie or distract me by something. Someone else would take me away and trick me and distract me, and then she would get out the door. And then I'd realize that she had left.
What did that? How'd you feel when that happened?
I felt very hurt. I would sob. I would cry.
Let's use the present tense. I want you to tell your mother how you're feeling. Imagine she's just tricked you, and you find out she's gone, and now you're confronting her.
Well, I feel hurt. I mean, why didn't you just stop and say goodbye to me? Of course, I always. I know the answer to that, but.
Yeah, but if you could, without any fear of, we know that you developed ways of coping, but if you could, without any fear of retaliation, really tell your mother what this and the generalization of this did to you.
Well, Mom, stop tricking me. I don't feel trustful
Yeah.
of you or anybody else in the world because I am constantly being tricked by you and you're lying to me. And I don't like lies. Nobody likes lies.
What did you decide as a result of this upset?
I decided it would take a lot before I would trust somebody.
How did this help you to make this decision?
Well, I didn't get involved with people that weren't trustworthy. I mean, they had to really show up and prove themselves to me that before I would go into any kind of deep connection, intimate connection with them.
If you were going to do this scene over, so you had a different kind of so that you could not always come down on the side of caution, but be able to have more of a balance between caution and trust. In other words, if you're going to rewrite the scene, I was going to play your mother and give you an alternate scenario in your biocomputer about the decision that people are generally untrustworthy. How would the scene run? How would I enact that?
Well, you would, you as my mother would come up and talk to me like a peer and say and explain what's happening.
Okay, sweetheart, I have to go out now, and I need some time away from you. I love you, and I need to go do some adult things. And so I know this is upsetting to you, but I don't want to sneak out because I want you to be able to know that what's happening in advance. Okay, if you had gotten that kind of treatment, how would that have affected you?
That would be much better. I'm sure, thinking about that hurt child probably would want something more empathetic, but that was pretty good.
Okay, so go even deeper. What's your deepest hurt with your mother?
My deepest hurt is that I was abandoned most of the time.